All right, guys, let's get the meeting underway. Tonight is the Water and Sewer Commission meeting, December 14th, 6:30 p.m. So call to orders. Anybody here from the public? Not hearing anybody here from the public. Let's move on to agendas, the warrants, abatements, and approvals. We can get that, Paul?
Good evening, everyone. I would first like to make a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting, which was November 23rd, 2020, as written.
Second the motion.
Roll call vote.
Mr. Ridlack,
Aye.
Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
Mr. Donahue,
Aye.
and Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
Next, I'd like to make a motion to approve the following warrants. First, we have commissioner salary, $300. And then a copy machine from Toshiba, $67.01. WB Mason for office supplies, $20.34. And the Charlton Police for the water valve box repair detail, $230.24. Next, we have Carl O'Bara to reimburse for a meter purchase, $275. And Amazon for office supplies, $1.64. Next, the commercial municipal group, which we're going to be for, I guess, our Chevy pickup truck, which is going to be split between the water and the sewer departments, $40,667. Next, we have KD tapping and testing for pressure testing on Route 20, $675. And Amazon for $99.99. And then Commonwealth Electric for the blower upgrade that we approved on June 22nd, $14,340.54 for a grand total of $56,676.76.
Thank you, Paul. Do I get a second?
Second to approve.
Discussion? All right, here, no discussion. Roll call vote.
Mr. Ridlack,
Aye.
Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
Mr. Donahue,
Aye.
and Mr. Cantwell.
Aye. Pete, just real quick, next scheduled appointment is for 6:40, right?
Yes, I believe Mr. Mackey's on the line if we just want to go to him.
All right. Mr. Matthews?
Hey, Bob.
How are you doing?
Good, thanks. So, Mr. Chair, Bob Mackey is here from Beta to discuss the Buffinville Public Well Site Plan. The Planning Board opened their public hearing for the site plan approval at their meeting on December 2nd. There were minimal questions from the Planning Board or from any residents at the meeting. Bob's just here to give you an update as to the preliminary design that was done for the initial site plan, which leaves some of the comments that are left from Graves for them to address. And so we can move forward with Planning Board and also give you an update on the application to the Conservation Commission as well.
Very good.
Bob.
Thank you, Pete. So the plan we submitted, I guess we weren't expecting it to go through a full site review at that point. The budget's been tight on this job, so we've been trying to spend your money wisely and not get too too ahead. And with the roadway design that we proposed, there's some significant cuts. So I guess our intention was for the planning board to take a look at it to see if there are any fatal flaws before we finished it. But they moved right into peer review, which was fine. We got 20 somewhat comments. So I guess I apologize to the board because of the voluminous comments, but honestly, we've gone through all the comments and there's only one that's difficult. And it was one we knew was going to be difficult, and that's the stream crossing standards, because we've been actually working with both commissions, the planning as well as Conservation Commission. And we're trying to refine that crossing, it's an intermittent stream, meaning it's dry a good chunk of the time, but in the spring it flows. So we have to follow the wetland laws for that particular crossing. But of all the comments, most of them were just format type comments. We're actually already moving forward. We've got most of the comments already addressed. Our wetland folks have been working with the peer reviewer for the Concom to talk specifically about the stream crossing standards, and working with them to make sure we're all on the same page. And as far as the peer review comments from Graves, no, I think their comments were fine. And I apologize for the board again for the voluminous comments. But like I said, we were trying not to get too far ahead of ourselves without taking a look at it. Because if they came back and immediately said, we need to rethink this, we didn't want to get too far down the road, no pun intended, sorry. But I mean, the good news is we for the next planning board review, we have to have our plan set revised and in by the 23rd. My group's already been working on it. They've actually got most of the comments already addressed. And we've got the plan set will be revised, and we'll have a memo created to address all of the peer review comments with Graves. That'll give them time to do their review, their subsequent review before the planning meeting. So I guess that's kind of where we are, and I apologize for the confusion, but I guess I wanted to make sure planning was okay with it before we got too far down with the package. And with that, I guess I'll turn it back for any questions that you might have.
So Bob, I just wanted to say, I think that your original plans were good, and I read all the comments. I mean, there's, only one or two that I think are really significant in any shape or form. The only question I have is, they're asking for, but it's also saying we could later choose a route which you're going to go as far as a pipe to pipe out of there. Okay.
Right.
And then the only other
we've actually added that onto the plans already.
Have you? Okay. What route did you choose to add to that plan?
I'm sorry?
Gale, was that the Gale Road one going across the bridge that you're talking, or did
right now that's what we've selected for now. The intent, I guess our intention is we picked that route, seeing that probably makes the most logical sense. Run it through planning, get their approval, and then if subsequently we find that we collectively, the board and Beta don't like something to do with that route, we can always go back to planning for a modification to their approval.
Yeah, it looked like it actually didn't require you to come up with a full blown route. The only
Right.
other one was the offloading, loading, of equipment.
The traffic.
Yeah, well, not just the traffic, but offloading heavy equipment and making the swing in.
Right. Well, Pete and I talked about that. It's a very good question, but it gets into the means and methods of bidding. What we typically do in this case is we would bid the job with a requirement for a traffic management plan being required by the contractor that would be reviewed by planning, your board, us, and I guess it would be there that we would nail down the details of how to make that access work somewhat in harmony with the residents there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand that part. And then the last piece was basically, he's talking about the cut being 15 feet and then again, the amount of traffic going down Gale Road and all that stuff.
Right.
Any concerns there?
Well, no, I think part of the issue with dictating their route and how to go really has to do with where the contractor is going to be disposing or staging his material. We don't want to dictate that he go one way, but his site is the other way. You know what I mean? So we'd wind up with a larger cost. So Again, I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, it's definitely a lot of material that has to be moved, and there'll have to be restrictions on, making sure he's not dragging dust out onto the road. He's not doing it. The contractor's not loading and hauling at unreasonable hours. There'd be specific hours where the traffic could move in and out. We'd have something in there about if he damages Gale Road from making those turning movements, that he would have to fix those after the fact. So all of those will definitely be addressed in the contract documents.
Okay, because the only concern I had there was because we were hoping that we would get a little bit of money potentially back from doing the cut, and
From the excess material, right?
we maybe had to, leave it on site or not, whether that would be a factor.
Right. We did spell out an area on the plans that would be set up for staging and for soil staging, I guess you'd call it. That could be expanded depending on how much material the contractor needs to hold on site.
Well,
I think-
personally, I'm
think-
very satisfied with everything you've done. Thank you.
Okay.
I think if we ask the planning board for conditional approval with a traffic management plan to follow after we go out to bid and pick a contractor, so that contractor, like Bob said, we can talk about best means and methods based on their plan and what they plan to do. The planning board should be comfortable with that, because they'll still have the chance to review that plan and approve or disapprove, get input from police and fire, and also from from this board as well. So just by them approving it, they can approve it with the condition that the traffic management plan will come at a later date in front of them for approval. So I don't think that will be an issue, and that gives us that little bit of leeway to put it out to bid, see what's happening, and then have that contractor work with us and Beta to develop that traffic management plan before it's submitted.
Okay, so where does the 23rd date come in that Bob mentioned?
So the planning board continued this to their next meeting, which is the first Wednesday in January, which I think is the 4th.
Yeah, I
And
believe
for
so.
them to their peer review, Graves has to have Bob's revisions 2 weeks prior. So that's the 23rd date that Bob is referencing.
That's tight schedule.
Yeah, but I mean, like Bob mentioned, and like you saw in those comments, a lot of them are pretty kind of, hopefully they were simple to take care of. And just because, like Bob said, he didn't, again, go through it with a fine tooth comb. The main purpose, again, that Bob was looking at was getting it in front of planning to see if the size of that cut and fill that we were talking about was going to raise any red flags before he went through and polished the rest of the site plan. So we made it through the first step, and like I said, there were no real, major objections at that point. So hopefully we can address most of the comments, talk about the conditional approval, have the planning board feeling comfortable, get that approval at our next meeting, work our way through conservation. And again, most of the wetlands comments or any type of comment like that, I believe the planning board is just going to defer to conservation anyways. And Bob's been working on that submittal, so that should be going their first meeting in January as well.
It might be a little off topic, but it also is inclusive. Do you think it would be worth approaching the abutters to the road and seeing if we couldn't get an additional 3 or 4 feet from each side?
I don't see how that would be really beneficial. I think that, again, because once this is done, after the construction period, this is just going to be, pretty much a driveway that will only get used once a day if the wells are in service to go and just do, visual inspections of them.
Well, possibly even just for the period of the construction. It's just a thought.
Yeah, no, it's something to look at. I'm not sure that 3 or 4 feet or even 10 feet on either side would give them more protection per se. It would probably just allow things to maybe get messier rather than keeping us confined, doing a good track pad on the way out that everyone has to stay on to make sure that all the excess mud and stuff gets left on our site. So I think we have enough room there with what we're going to be doing from the road in, that even during the construction phase, we can immediately pave, say, the first 100 feet then do the track pad another 100 feet in from there, so that whoever leaves is on blacktop before they even get to the road. And again, we can even require that they set up some type of washing station or something for trucks leaving if it gets that bad.
Pete, I was thinking more on the aspect of if you have 16 feet and we can get it out to 24, you can make that turn. Even if you can get it out to 22, you can make a turn in with heavy equipment and bring it right into the staging area, offload, and then you don't have to worry about Gale Road.
I think we should have enough width there to do that. I mean, again, we'd have to really look at those plans to see how wide you open that up, Bob, but
I'll take a look. I mean, if it's a left-hand turn out onto Gale, it won't be a problem at all. It'd be more if it was a right-hand turn. And I could double check that.
I guess the other thing is that there's not a whole lot of traffic on Gale Road, so it's not like they're stuck to really that one lane that they're turning into either. So, yeah, I think we can definitely look into that, and if necessary, we can approach the abutters and maybe ask them for a temporary easement if that would make them feel more comfortable, to maybe give us more room. But that's I think that's pretty much an update of where we are now. I think we're in a good spot to kind of hopefully go back to the next meeting, see what's there, and get it approved from planning. We're waiting for a DEP to get back to us on the scope of work that was submitted for FY21. Hopefully in the same time frame, that'll get approved, and that will give us the funding to have Beta develop the RFP to be able to put this out to bid and get some prices to see what we're looking at and see what type of value that excess material might actually have.
The only other thing I'll add is if you now look at the PHSA mapping system for the pipeline that we were talking about earlier on, okay, they show no owner. They show it as totally abandoned now. It's interesting change on the mapping system, what it's worth.
The pipeline, they might not show it, but they definitely still own the easement.
They own the easement, but they show that, you know, they show a change in status on the from 5 months ago. It's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. The easement holds a lot of value though, because they could always run a new line in that easement, which is
Absolutely
interesting. But
Is Russ on?
I am.
All right, buddy.
How is everyone this evening?
Doing good.
All right. Well, thanks, Bob. We appreciate the update, and I think we've grilled you enough on uncertain terms of the future based off the planning board decision. So,
no problem.
But any other quick questions for Bob?
Just to thank you for everything he's done and the little extras he's done for us too along the way.
My pleasure.
All right. Thank you,
thank
Bob.
you, Bob. Have a happy holiday.
Thanks,
All right.
Bob.
Same to you. Take care.
All right. What do we have next, Peter? The grant?
Yes, we submitted a grant. I was talking to Vinny about opportunities to apply to our insurance company, Maya, for workplace safety grant. And one of the items there that they said might get approved is facilities management, preventive maintenance software. So Vinny got me a quote that we submitted for software to help him track preventative maintenance for the facilities, for the pump stations and the treatment plant. What we presented for the grant was the software, which was $6,015. That includes the software, a year of technical support, and 4 hours of online training. Maya awarded us the grant, awarded us the request. So we have the funding to purchase the software. Up in the Veolia office, any computers that are up there are owned by Veolia. And this software, just in case anything happened, it's owned by the town, so it should probably be on a town computer, so it will stay with something were to happen and Veolia were to leave. So I talked to Jeff Sorrell, the IT director, and he said the cost to put a new computer up there is approximately $500. So before I asked him to do that. Well, I did ask him to do it, but I still wanted to get your approval before we formalize it and have it installed. And I also wanted to get your approval to go ahead and move forward with the software before we act on the grant award.
Anyone like to put forth a motion stating such?
Motion to accept as written.
I second.
Second. Second by Mr. Cantwell. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none. You want a roll call vote on this, Peter?
Yes. Mr. Ridlack,
Aye.
Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
Mr. Donahue,
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell,
Aye.
and Mr. Jennings.
Aye. All right, excellent.
Thank you.
All right, moving right over to SCADA upgrade.
Yeah, so Vinny's been working with, I think it's Matt Johnson and John Oatley to create the scope of work that we requested for this SCADA upgrade. Matt Johnson, who was, I think, Veolia's SCADA, I'm not going to say so much expert, but maybe facilitator, was here with Veolia's subcontractor to do the SCADA work. From that meeting, John created the scope of work, or the statement of work that's attached to do the PLC and SCADA upgrades for just the PLCs that are old and we're having problems with. In the process of this, Vinny has been talking to our current SCADA operator, Harbor Controls, and also our local electrician, LaFleur Electric. And getting different ideas of different things we can do. So I'm kind of asking that we step back a little bit from Veolia just getting us a price and doing the job, and ask John to work with Harbor Controls and LaFleur to create a more detailed scope of work with multiple tasks that will hopefully we can go out to bid with and hopefully get more work accomplished. So in the PLCs that we're having issues with, they're definitely much older than any other PLCs in the plant. And to fix those and just focus on those and, maybe get that done would be a good step forward. But I think if we can get a more detailed scope of work and maybe change how some of the things were done and a little bit different than what John's proposing so that it's not as labor intensive, and I think there's different ways to do it based on what LaFleur has said, we may be able to get more work done. So I'm just asking that you kind of look at what John put together, allow us to step back a little bit and just be able to maybe revamp the scope of work. What I'm thinking after talking with Vinny and some of the contractors that were here is to have John work with Harbor Controls and LaFleur Electric and look at, put together a scope of work that's task based. So task one will be replace the PLCs in the cabinet that are definitely bad. Update the cabinets so that any controls that are in there that aren't used anymore because they're for the old sand filter that has been gone for 15 years gets removed. The high voltage gets moved in the cabinet and partitioned so it's safe to do the low voltage work. And have that be task one with a cost associated with it. And then also look at some of the other deficiencies we have where we have a PLC down in the Headworks building that doesn't work at all and isn't connected to anything. Have that be task two where that gets connected to something different. And then have the COMAG system that has probably 5 or 6 PLCs that aren't 20 years old, but they may be 10 years old now and are still Windows 7 based that can't be upgraded to Windows 10. Have that be task 3 to have those be replaced as well. So everything will be Windows 10 based. Everything will be the same age, the same date, and be working on the same platform. And that way there, we can see how far we can get with the money that's been approved and really try and get more bang for the buck instead of rushing into this and saying, okay, let's get the main purpose done get it done quickly, but then all of a sudden, I don't want to do that. And then 3 years from now say, well, we have these PLCs in Comag and all of a sudden they're not working well and we need to do that now. And you guys will be asking me, why didn't we do this before? We just spent $150,000 on SCADA. We shouldn't have to do it again. So I'm hoping that if we kind of take a step back, reevaluate, put together a better proposal, put it out to bid, see what we get for results. It's going to take longer, but I think in the long run, we'll get maybe a much better result and definitely more bang for the buck.
I love it. Good job, Peter.
Thank you. So again, that's going to just a little bit more patience, and hopefully, I think John is planning on talking with Vinny at Harbor Controls in LaFleur sometime this week, possibly tomorrow, to maybe identify what their priorities are, because again, they're working in the treatment plant. LaFleur is here maybe once a week or every other week doing different stuff here and there. Harbor Controls was just here doing SCADA work for the VFD upgrade we did, and he's also the person that came out to help Vinny reboot it when it went down the last time. So they're very familiar with what we have, and hopefully we can again put together a nice package that we can get quite a bit of stuff done. Because I know as we talk about it, and as the more you look at it, we keep thinking about what we can add. So again, if we do it task based, we can just keep putting tasks on there and keep going until we run out of the $200,000 appropriation.
Peter, I think it's a good idea. I have a request. I'd like to join you with some of these meetings when you're having people on site to do the site overview and planning.
Okay. So for now, John's going to meet with them on their own. He wanted to kind of just take this first step that way. But as soon as I'm involved, I'll definitely let you know and include you in any of those meetings that move forward.
Well, I'd like to see some of the process in planning also.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay, even if you're not available, I don't mind being available.
Okay.
Thank you in advance, Phil.
Yeah, I think it would be good to get a really good sense of this, and I have some ideas where Peter's going, and I think the plan is brilliant, and we should thank Vinny for his thoughts, and also LaFleur Electric.
Very good. All right, Peter, what else do you have for us? The updates?
Yeah, finish up with the water line construction update. Bay Path Pump Station, Kleinfelder's still working on activating the Bay Path Pump Station, so they should have it hopefully ready to go, if not, probably not by the first of the year, but probably ready in the beginning of January. The school loop, Albanese Brothers, they've been flushing the school loop and are getting ready to activate it. Hopefully it will be activated by the end of the year. It will need to be activated before the Bay Path Pump Station comes online, but the progress is moving forward, and that should happen much sooner than later. Service connections, again, Albanese Brothers continues to install the service connections to the residents' homes. Again, making the plumbing from the street down into the basement until the line is active, when the plumbers will come in and then finish that installation in the resident's basement. At this time, I believe there were approximately 40 connections completed and waited for that water line to be activated so the plumbing can begin. So that's about it for the water line update. And again, the school loop has not yet been activated, but as soon as it is, I'll let you know, and we'll get that letter out regarding the 1-year grace period.
And who will that letter come from, Peter? The engineering company?
Well, Kleinfelder is going to do their own. They've been in communication with the residents already. The letter that we're discussing will come from you or me.
No, I'm saying, I guess what I'm asking is who will notify us in writing that it is active?
Kleinfelder.
Kleinfelder will. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So they give us formal documentation stating the line is now.
Yep.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, if you looked at their site, Exxon's sending out emails on a regular basis, and they're actually updating us saying it's not yet connected yet. So.
Yep. Very good. All right. Anything else?
No, I think that's about all I have unless anyone has any questions.
Do not.
So how far out are we scheduling, guys?
I was thinking if we go to the first Monday in January. I don't have that calendar up. Sue, is that what we were thinking? The first month, just start doing the first Mondays of the month?
Yeah,
And then,
but that would give us 3 weeks, wouldn't it?
yes. Because we talked about going just once a month, which would be the first Monday. And then if we needed to, we could add a second meeting based on how busy we are.
Yep.
We'll just have to do warrants on, say, that second week. If you guys wouldn't mind coming in to sign the warrants, just so bills don't sit for 4 weeks.
I'm sure Sue will remind us about that.
Yeah, so if we want to plan on January 4th, again, that'll be 3 weeks from today. It'll kind of get us through the holiday, readdress where we're at, and get ready for the next year.
Very good.
It looks like Mr. Coronis has joined us. I didn't know if he had any questions or if he
Yeah, guys, and I apologize and happy holidays to all you guys. And I know you've all been doing a lot of hard work. I jumped onto this late, but I've been fielding some questions regarding the pump stations in our own water fields, that water supply that we're working on. If you could, you don't have to get into a 20-minute thing, but just a 5-minute update. I might have missed it. I tried to jump on earlier, but if
So sure, we discussed the Buffinville Public Water Supply site plan that's in front of the planning board and will be in front of conservation. At the first hearing, there was a public hearing. We sent out mailings to all the abutters, and there was minimal comments from the planning board itself. There was one resident there who had a few questions, but she's been involved the entire way and didn't really voice any objection to the project itself. So other than that, we haven't heard really any comments negative against the project. Again, planning board had maybe 23 comments from their peer review. Most of them were, say, procedural based on what they want to see on the plan. And there were a few that we're going to address. I have heard secondhand about some questions about traffic and stuff like that during construction. The main reason we're trying to get the site plan approved now is so we can look at how the site plan lays out and be able to go out to bid to see how much it might cost us to develop that access road or driveway. And from there, once we go out to bid and get that delineated, we'll meet with the contract. If we choose to move forward, we'll meet with the contractor and develop, say, a traffic management plan that will answer all of those questions that maybe some of the other residents that you might be fielding questions of, such as what's the construction traffic going to look like, which way are they going to go, how many trucks, and all that kind of stuff. We're proposing that will be answered after we go out to bid, and that traffic management plan will be submitted once we pick a contractor who can really sit down with fire, with police, with the planning board, and create that traffic management plan that works best for them.
okay, no, thank you. Very, very good. Thanks for the update. I know I probably had you repeat what you already said earlier, but I jumped on a few minutes late.
And then if maybe one of the other concerns you might be hearing, if residents are concerned about their own private well and what might happen. So at this point, we're not planning on running the water line down Gale Road itself in front of any of the residents in that area. So I think some of them might be asking questions if they'll be forced to connect to the public water line. And at this time, we're not even planning on running it down Gale Road or in that area. And another question was if we impact their private well based on the water that we're going to be using. And again, the quick answer to that is these are gravel packed wells. They're not going down into the bedrock. So there's minimal chance of us hitting the same vein that other bedrock wells are using. But as part of the development process moving forward and to get DEP approval, we'll have to do long-term pumping tests in the future once these wells are drilled, and also monitor any private wells in the area based on working with DEP, which ones are delineated to make sure that there's no adverse effect on those private wells.
Great. Thank you.
So,
I
and
appreciate that.
again, Mr. Coronis, if you get any emails or any questions like that, if you want to forward them to me, I'd be happy to talk with the residents also.
Will do.
Okay.
Will do.
That's a
Thanks,
little
Peter.
bit of more information that was good to have, Peter, also, just the butters and the concerns about the water.
Awesome.
All right.
Happy holidays.
Thanks for joining us, Steve.
No, yeah. Thank you, Russ. Russ, you're looking pretty good there in that picture.
Yeah, I seem to
I'm gonna say.
keep looking better and better, huh?
You do. All right, guys. And happy holidays, everybody. Thank you.
Same to you. Thank you. All right, so I guess there's only one thing left.
Yes.
That is to adjourn. Who would like to make the motion?
I think we should go with the Gettysburg Address, which I believe only lasted 2.5 hours this time. I motion to adjourn.
Second it.
A roll call vote in the affirmative.
Mr. Ridlack,
Aye.
Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
Mr. Donahue,
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell. You're muted, Mr. Cantwell.
Still muted.
Put your thumb up, Dave.
All right. And Mr. Jennings.
Aye.
All right.
Aye,
Thank you, everybody.
aye.
Very good.
Good night, guys.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Happy
Thank you.
holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Stay safe.
Take care.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Night.